Hello, everybody. Welcome to our call tonight. We are so excited to be here. For those of you that don't know us, my name is Casey Elmore, and this is my husband, Jesse. We are a mom and dad to three young ones. We've got a 5.5-year-old, 3.5-year-old, both boys, and then we have a 16-month-old little girl, and we reside right outside of the St. Louis area. And so as you see us me bundled up, it is cold tonight. And so we're extra layered today. And we are excited to talk to you because we are full-time work from home business owners. And so really we work from anywhere business owners. That's why we're here tonight. So I will say it wasn't always this way. So it was truly in 2008 that our viewpoints about business started to change. At that point, Jesse and I had been dating for some time, and I actually pushed him into taking an entrepreneurial opportunity. And though, if I'm being honest, a lot of our families and our support systems were super leery and just really discouraging. And because he was leaving a salaried position with a really reputable and growing company in the town we were living in at the time, but getting after to know someone in this new entrepreneurial venture and what their lifestyle looked like, we knew we had to just take a leap of faith. Because honestly, if they could do it, we, knew that, well, why not us too? And so during that time, we really learned about the power of residual income and how he could build that business and bring in a healthy 6 figures every year. But the problem was this: it wasn't always rainbow and sunshines. It really was because we were living a life of good financial status, but Jesse traveled weekly. He would leave on Monday and he would not come home until Fridays. And so we had very little personal life. And so we knew we had to make some changes. And if we were going to have a family eventually, we wanted to be able to find a path for him to be able to free up his time. And so we started to consider some different things. And so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you to take over.
And you got a job to go do.
And I have a job to go do. We have a child upstairs right now. This is the beauty of what we do. We have a child upstairs needing me. So I'm going to pass it over to you and screen share so that you can take over.
Okay.
Here you go.
Yeah. So as Casey said, it was not always this way. And I'm going to guess that we're probably not much different than anybody else that's here listening tonight, in the sense that our parents were raised in a completely different mindset of a generation. That they were just teaching us what they knew, which was to get an education, get a job, work and stay in that job 30 to 40 years until retirement, and retire with oftentimes a pension or some kind of retirement in place that's going to last the rest of your lifetime. And so, that concept is still around today, but it's definitely not nearly as common and definitely not nearly as secure as it was during our parents' generation, or during the prior generation. So we're kind of in this place now where, thank goodness, in our lives, we found this early on. We found this concept early on. But again, like Casey said, it wasn't smooth sailing, and we didn't necessarily believe right out of the gates what some of the things we were hearing, but we've experienced it now. We've been in this role now for well over 10 years, experiencing some of the fruit of what we're going to talk about here this evening. So I think, can you all see that part of the screen? Okay, so we're not at the beginning. There we go. So the topic of tonight is the business of the future. And essentially what we mean by that is the idea of creating a financial stream of income that will last for generations, not just necessarily our own lifetime. And so some challenging questions I have for you if you're listening, and this, especially if this is all new to you, is some things like, how many hours per week do you currently spend working? Is it 40 hours? Like, I'd say that's probably the most typical, most common. Is it more than that? Is it 60 hours? Is it 80 hours? Is it 80 plus hours? I've got friends that work 80 plus hours every single week. I have no idea how they do it. I've never done that my entire life. And they manage it somehow. They get it done. but I have no idea how they do it. How many hours, kind of on the flip side of that, how many hours per week do you spend time of your personal life or your personal time doing exactly what you want to do? Because let's face it, we can like our job, we can say we love our job, but I promise you there are oftentimes, many times throughout the day, throughout the week, if you're working that many hours doing the same thing over and over and over, there's some things you'd rather be doing often. So what are some of those things? And do you get to do those things as often as you'd like to? And really, I guess, depending on your answer to those two questions, do you want any of those two things to change? If you're working a lot of hours, do you want to reduce the amount of hours you work? If you have things that you'd like to do with your personal life that you don't get to do because you don't have the time to do it, for whatever reason, is that something you'd like to change? And so if your answer is yes to any of that, then the following information is likely of great value to you. So the goal here tonight is to talk, is the idea to get you to think differently about how you currently earn income, and also help you fully understand the idea of what a stable, long-lasting residual or passive income can do for your personal life, your family's lives if you're married, and some of the things you can do to just help other people. So not just yourself. And so who else is this for? Well, Casey's not here with me at the moment. She will be right back. But this has definitely been a team effort on both of our behalves. And so it's definitely for a spouse, a partner, a significant other, if you've got one. If you don't, then it's for you and whoever else you want it to be for, I guess. But the important thing is it's very critical that whoever you're sharing this life with, if you will, that they're on the same page as you. Because we see often, Casey and I, and what we do, that one person is fully on board and all into this, but either the communication hasn't been clear with the spouse, or the spouse isn't quite there yet. We've been there. We've been on all sides of what I'm explaining. And the only way this could have ever possibly worked is if we were on the same page, communicating effectively. We don't always communicate effectively, let's be honest. But in this particular case, we've done a great job. So let's get started. So this whole idea of navigating different types of income, and really this can look complex and feel complex, but it's very simple if we make it simple. And so when you look at this graph, some other questions: are you in a career, or do you earn income, I should say, but by way of simply trading hours for dollars? This is probably the most common way that people earn income. It's not by any means a bad strategy of earning income. Obviously, to earn money, we have to do work of some sort. So we have to start somewhere. Do you earn passive income in any way? And I'll explain a little bit more about what exactly we mean there, or residual income in some form or fashion. And so when you look at this chart, navigating some different types of income, when you look at the top left square in this chart, as an employee, that's kind of one area of a way that we earn income. Most people fall into this category. They trade hours for dollars. There's all kinds of obvious jobs where this falls into place. But the idea of trading hours for dollars is where this falls in. Straight below that, we've got self-employed, it says, or owning a job. So that could mean you own a small business, and so you kind of have a little bit more flexibility per se, maybe. We found out in a business we own that wasn't the case. We were working more hours than we were when we were trading hours for dollars in the past. But it's not a bad pathway as well. And so those two kind of fall on the left side of this quadrant. And then when we look forward over to the right side of the quadrant, is where we find a whole different way of earning income. The top right talks about a business owner, similar to the bottom left in the sense of you kind of own and have some flexibility in your life, but you have lots of employees possibly. You're generating income in such a way that it's more of a residual based income, I guess is the easiest way to say it. So you're a business owner. And then the bottom right is an investor, meaning you own investments, kind of self-explanatory there, but this could also fall under the category of investment income, which is similar to passive income, as you'll see when we move forward. But the main point out of what I hope you get out of this graph is that when you split this line down the middle, top to bottom, if you're looking at the left side, the employee and the self-employed, this is where 5% of the wealth sits, and 95% of the population fall into these two areas. Again, nothing wrong with them. It's just the way it is. Now, on the right side of the quadrant is just the opposite. It's where 95% of the wealth of the money sits, and only 5% of the population are enjoying that money. So I've always kind of been interested myself in, especially ever since, like Casey mentioned, our lives, our viewpoints on this kind of changed. But even before that, I was curious about how do people that are rich or have a lot of money, how do they do it? And these particular people that were in our lives seem to be doing it in a way that they were very, very wealthy, but they had an unlimited amount of time on their hands to do things they wanted to do, to travel. They were all constantly traveling the world in this case. And it so got us very curious. And I knew sitting behind the desk at the computer technology company I was working for at the time, that was never going to be an option in our life. And I had a pretty good job by most people's standards. So let's talk a little bit more of the definitions of what we mean by passive income and residual income. So passive income is defined as income that requires little to no effort to earn and maintain. So I guess a good example of that would be like real estate rental property. Now, if you own rental property or you have a home that you purchased in the past and you're renting it out, and that's your only piece of rental property, you might be disagreeing with me on this because you're probably sitting there going, yeah, but let me just tell you, I get calls from my tenants every other day to fix the washing machine and do all this. That's not what we're necessarily referring to here. Real estate on a little bit bigger scale, where passive income is large enough that it allows you to have property managers and have just a larger lucrative style of income there. And then there's the residual income. And so residual income is defined as that where a person continues to make money after the work he or she has put into a project has been completed. So an example there was, let's say an insurance policy would be a good example. When you buy your auto policy, everybody on here hopefully has an auto policy. You buy your auto policy, the agent that sold you that auto policy gets paid every single year that you have that policy in force and active. They get paid up front when you first sign up with them, and then every year they get paid ongoing. So that's what residual income means. And they may not touch base with you every year, but they're still getting the payment, the payout on that. So, so what is the value? What's the value? This is an important slide. What's the value of passive or residual income? And so I'm going to share 3 different stories here now these are not real actual scenarios that we're aware of, but these are scenarios that we see. Man, when I was traveling, I saw these kind of things all the time in local small businesses and things like that were just plastered to like a community outreach board or whatever. And so I'll just kind of share these stories with you. Bill Smith has been a hard worker his entire life. Bill and his wife, Teresa, have 2 young children. Unfortunately, Bill had a tragic fall at work, breaking several bones, and also experienced some internal organ damage. His employer does not offer paid time off of any kind. The family depends on Bill's income to provide for their family. Please consider helping financially in any way you can during this time of absolute financial need. I actually did see something very close to this here recently. I can't recall where I saw it, but it was almost identical to, that's how I actually came up with this story here. So just keep that in your mind for a second. Second story, the Johnson family have recently experienced an unfortunate situation. Mr. Johnson walked into work last Thursday to find out that his company has restructured the entire company, and he will no longer have a job beginning next Friday. Please pray for them as they are going through this difficult time of uncertainty, as they cannot afford their monthly expenses without his income. We actually know people in our lives, friends of ours, that this has happened to. So you may as well. Third story, we are collecting monetary donations to help George's family during this difficult time. George was diagnosed with a rare cancer that projects a long treatment process. He begins chemo treatment next week and is told he won't be able to farm his family's land. We are hopeful that we can find some generous volunteers to help get the family's crops planted, as their entire livelihood depends on their farm income. So I actually sold insurance in the past to farmers and ranchers. So this is one that I saw on a daily basis. It was unbelievable how much of this stuff was out there. So these three stories are not, yes, they're made up, but they're reality. They really do happen. They really do happen every single day. And so where's the value in having some passive or residual income? The value is in that if any of those three stories that we just walked through, if any one of those three had some passive or residual income in place, that financial stressor, if you want to call it that, would not have been there. And not to say that we shouldn't rely on our community or our friends and family during a time of need by any means, but man, it sure takes away a lot of internal anxiety and stress whenever we don't have to worry about that part of the situation. So what are similarities and differences between passive and residual income? So both require an entrepreneurial mindset. Both of them provide residual and passive income. Both can lead to time freedom. Both can lead to financial freedom. Both require consistent effort, attention, and work over time. So if anybody ever tells you that you can earn residual income or passive income with very little work or effort, then they're probably lying to you. That's just not true. Differences. So in the area of passive income, real estate, for example, real estate requires a large chunk of money up front to be able to purchase and earn passive income off of off of what that real estate income is. Another example would be network marketing. Network marketing is typically a very low startup. Not all network marketing plans and marketing plans are the same, but typical structure of them is similar in that the risk is very low and the potential for success is very high. So that's something we've experienced personally. Real estate, for example, includes headaches dealing with renters, managing the properties. We kind of talked about that if you have a rental property, and hassling with banks to fund properties and move forward with that. Residual income in the form of something like network marketing, for example, has no headaches of those kinds of things like dealing with renters, managing properties, hassling with banks, that kind of stuff. It's very, very minimal, I would say. So when we look at, this is probably my favorite slide of this whole presentation, when we look at the kind of tail of the tape, if you will, ask yourself, can you afford not to have it? If you, heaven forbid, were one of the people in those stories we shared, or you know someone with a similar story, if you don't have it in place, what's it look like? But if you do, what's it look like? So if you look at this chart on the far left, explains what it looks like if you have a residual income of that dollar amount, and then over just shifting to the middle, how it compares to having a large lump sum of money to invest with, let's say. So if you've got $60,000 laying around, I don't know too many people that have $60,000 laying around, but obviously some do, and you wanted to find a way to earn 5% interest on it. And in this particular case, it says in the bank. I know for certain we're nowhere near 5% in our bank, but If you can find that and you had $60,000 to throw at it, that would earn you $250 per month in residual income, or passive income in this case, because there would be no managing anything. And then on the far right, similar scenario, in the real estate industry, if you had $50,000 to invest at 6%, which is considered good in the real estate industry, but of course that's risky because you don't know for sure that you're going to earn that, but that's considered good. So if you're good at it, then that's gonna yield you $250, or be comparable to earning you $250 in a residual income scenario. So you can kind of go through that chart and see, so for example, if you had a goal in mind with, let's say something like what we've done in network marketing, where, one of our early goals was to make $1,000 a month. So if you look at this chart, to make $1,000 a month, we would have had to do that in the investing world. We would have had either $240,000 to throw at a 5% yield in the banks,
which doesn't exist.
I mean, it just doesn't, not in America anyways, or $200,000 to throw into a real estate investment, and hope that that's going to earn 6% just to match up to that 1,000. Here's what might blow your mind here. We're beyond that, but at that $1,000 mark, when we hit that several years ago per month, we only had to pay $50 to get that earning. So I know that sounds way too good to be true, but that is true. So, so then you might be asking yourself, well, we're talking about, finances and investments and all this stuff, and you haven't talked about the 401k or investing in stocks, because that's obviously another option. And it's true. And by no means am I saying don't invest in a 401k or don't invest in the stock market, because people, let's face it, people have done very well in both. But to invest in stocks, you got to have quite a bit of education. You got to really know what you're doing to limit the risk, because there's a high risk, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But let's just say you're going to focus on a 401k as a retirement strategy. That's okay. But here's the negative and the downside to that is you can't enjoy it today. So you're going to throw money for, 20, 30, 40 years into a 401k, hope that it grows over time. And if you ask people in 2008 how theirs was doing, they found out the hard way that was not a good strategy. Many of them, most of them. And so there's a lot of unknown in that. You might spend 30 years throwing money at a 401k, and when you're 65, 70 years old and want to utilize that money and start to retire, that, not only is it not there, but the biggest takeaway from it is you simply can't experience it and use it today. So I just wanted to throw that in there and bring that up.
And so that's kind of where I come back in and share with you guys why network marketing as an investment path. For us, we were pretty big skeptics. So when we started on this path, Jesse was working with a really great company. He was making really great residual income, but we had no time freedom. And so I love sharing this because some of the most wealthiest people in the world are huge, and people just don't realize this. There's so many skeptics out there about network marketing, but you've got people like Robert Kiyosaki, who teaches people wealth building strategies, saying the richest people in the world build networks. Everyone else.
If you don't know who Robert Kiyosaki is, go look up a couple of books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a great book that he wrote, and Cash Flow Quadrant is a great book that he wrote as well.
Yep. And he teaches everyone else in the world is trained to look for work. Warren Buffett, he actually is invested in 3 different network marketing companies, and he claims that it's one of the best investments he's ever made. And then I love this because everybody knows Bill Gates. If I would be given a chance to start all over again, I would choose network marketing. I mean, guys, if you've got people that are literally some of the wealthiest, most impactful making people in the world saying these things, I think they've kind of figured some things out. And so I wanted to share a little bit about our company. Jesse and I, we've been with the Juice Plus company for 8.5 years now. The company's been around for 50 years, and we've really been building our business for the last about 5.5 years. And I want to share what sets us apart, because at the center of everything, health is never going to go out of style. And really, truly, for us, we're in the wellness industry. We focus on nutrition coming from fruits, vegetables, and berries in a capsule or in a plant-based shake every single day. And because we're literally in the fruit, veggie, berry business, it falls into every dietary lifestyle out there. We're also the most researched nutritional product in the world. When I say that, guys, in the world, not just here in the US, but in the world. We have an NSF certification.
In fact, Siri confirms that.
Siri confirms that. NSF certification and a food label. And I love that because we have major sponsor commitments with, well, I should say major sponsor. They actually choose to purchase Juice Plus for themselves. The USA volleyball team, multiple professional athletes, Olympian swimmers. I mean, the list goes on because of this food label and NSF certification. We have an option where children can eat for free through the Healthy Starts for Families. It's doctor recommended because of the amount of research with Juice Plus. We have medical professionals around the world that are truly recommending Juice Plus to their patients. And Jesse spoke so much about residual income, and because Juice Plus is consumable, where people are eating it every single day, you truly can build a residual income versus a lot of network marketing businesses. And I'm not knocking them, but it's just the reality is that they share a product that is just a one-time purchase, like a piece of clothing or maybe some makeup, and they're not going to be purchasing those things for months and months and months. Because this is something that you consume every day, you can build a quality residual income from it. We're also not a buyer's club, and so I love this because it deters people that are just looking for a discount. Not that we don't want to help everybody get the best price, but you can't just pay your $50 a year, like Jesse said, and get the best price. We all pay the same price as our own customer, and that truly sets us apart in the marketplace. We're in 23 countries and we're growing. I was just speaking about what countries we're going to next. So cool. Next year we're opening in Mexico, and that's such a big deal. We have no inventory and minimums, and I love this because what it allows you is that it allows you to keep your commissions permanent. Even in the midst of life happening, you can keep your commissions in every level of our company permanent through the entirement of your time with our company. And then at the highest level of our company, National Marketing Director, we have a benefits package. And so that means you're getting access to full life, dental, vision, chiropractic care, amazing college tuition reimbursement, holiday bonuses, the list goes on. And so we really are set apart in the network marketing marketplace. And it all begins with us. It really begins with you. And so I wanted to take just a few minutes to wrap us up. I'm going to invite on a very good friend of ours named Lindsay. She has had an amazing journey, and Jesse and I are so blessed to know her. And so, Lindsay, if you want to unmute yourself, we'd love to hear your story.
Sure. Hi, everybody. So my Juice Plus story actually began a little over 4 years ago. We were on year 5 of unexplained infertility. And so through my friends, Jesse and Casey, and also my fertility doctor, he suggested that we start on Juice Plus and start adding that into our healthy daily routine. And so we did. And 3 months later, with our next fertility treatment, we were pregnant. So our prayers were answered in so many different ways. And throughout the next couple years, we had just seen so many health benefits. Just a couple were that we were off of all medications. My son is 3 and he has yet to be on an antibiotic or to the doctor for any other reason except for well baby visits. So September 2015, we started Juice Plus. August 2016, my son was born. In summer of 2018, I realized that my heart was truly to be at home with this little boy that I had prayed over for 5 years. And so that's when I started my Juice Plus business, because it was something that I knew that I could do from home, a business that I knew that I trusted, and it wasn't as high risk, but I could still contribute. And it was something that I was still very passionate about. And so fast forward a year later, I'm now a sales coordinator with Juice Plus. And I truly, truly feel like my family is the healthiest mentally, physically, and emotionally than we have ever been. So it's truly just from products to business to community, just been such a huge blessing to us.
Thanks so much for sharing. That was so encouraging. And, she isn't the only one that has experienced these amazing stories. And so I'll wrap us up. I kind of left you guys hanging earlier, but for us, when we said yes to the Juice Plus company, Jesse was working 4 to 5 days a week out of town, overnight in hotel. And that was fine until our son Brody was born. And we realized that Jesse was missing out on everything. And then if you can recall, if you're a first-time parent, or if you recall being a first-time parent, if you are a parent, that those first moments, those first few months with your child are just life-changing. And he was missing out on so much. And we knew many of our friends who had used this amazing business model and a company to retire themselves from the corporate business model. And I said to Jesse, look, if these people can do it, why can't we do it for us? Why can't we find a way to bring you home? And that's when I started building the business. And guys, it was a busy time for us. We had a newborn. I was working 40 to 50 hours a week with the business, the brick and mortar business that we owned at the time. And Jesse traveled. And so I really always say that anybody can do this business, but not everyone will, because it is a commitment. And we had a lot going on, but I knew down the road that the opportunity to change our lifestyle was most important. And so by the end of that year, we were able to build our income where Jesse could walk away from the insurance business, because we had built the secondary residual. He had built residual with his insurance, and we were building a secondary residual that was so strong and stable that it could lead us into the future. And so now what it's provided us is,
and we're coming up on the 5-year mark of that.
We're coming up on 5 years of him being retired and home. We've 3 babies now, so he's gotten to witness all the things that he missed out the first 10 months of Brody's life. He's gotten to witness with our second 2, and we get to build life and live life on our own terms. It is, like we mentioned earlier, freezing cold here. And we just booked a trip to Florida in a few weeks because we were like, why not? The flights are amazing. And there was an opportunity to go, and we get to celebrate his mom's birthday in Florida with her.
Which is a good example, because yesterday when we woke up, we had no intention of this, traveling and doing this. And it started snowing here in the Midwest. And we were like, we got to get out of here. So
we said, we're going to have a bad
Florida,
winter.
Here we come.
And so that's truly the power of residual income, guys, that you can start to build a life on your own terms and not the terms that maybe you thought were just set up upon you because of your circumstances. And so tonight, we thank you guys so much for being with us. And we encourage you to get with the person that invited you on this call and ask them some hard questions. Ask them and share with them, maybe you want a different future for yourself, or maybe you just want to be able to contribute differently to your home. But ask those questions, connect with the person. We are so grateful that you're on with us tonight. Thank you so much. We'll see y'all. Have a great night.